How to Pay for the Green New Deal by Yeva Nersisyan and L. Randall Wray. Public Infrastructure Investment. A major part of the Green New Deal is public infrastructure investment. We need a new energy grid, a new transportation grid, public housing, more and better parks and playgrounds to direct recreation away from shopping and toward healthy living, retrofitting buildings and homes, creating walkable neighborhoods, and repairs to existing infrastructure. Footnote 23. We have already included the electricity grid, transportation grid, and retrofitting of buildings in our calculations of resource needs for the greening projects. We mention them here only as a reminder and focus on other public infrastructure investments. End footnote. Again, we need to avoid double counting. Much of this is already included within the scope of green energy projects and job guarantee projects discussed above. However, a lot of the new public infrastructure investment, high-speed rail to replace air traffic and autos, will represent new costs. That is, uses of resources, not sources. And much of it will be undertaken by private contractors while paid for by governments. In some cases, those resources can be redirected from current destructive uses. In some cases, we will need to add resources. Larry Summers has argued that infrastructure investment pays for itself. As he wrote, quote, "The IMF asserts that properly designed infrastructure investment will reduce rather than increase in government debt burdens. Public infrastructure investments can pay for themselves. Infrastructure investment actually makes it possible to reduce burdens on future generations. The IMF finds that $1 of investment increases output by nearly $3. The budgetary arithmetic associated with infrastructure investment is especially attractive at a time when there are enough unused resources that greater infrastructure investment need not come at the expense of other spending. If we are entering a period of secular stagnation, unemployed resources could be available in much of the industrial world for quite some time." End quote. Summers, 2014. It is true that he was writing at a time when there was more slack than there is today, and resources could be even more scarce once the Green New Deal gets up to speed. Projects will need to be planned and prioritized. This is to avoid bottlenecks, but also to ensure that the investments are completed on a schedule coordinated with other Green New Deal projects. For example, the new electricity grid needs to be developed in line with completion of alternative energy projects. However, other projects can be put on a shelf until resources are released. The inflationary potential of infrastructure investment will depend on avoiding resource bottlenecks. As we discussed above, some work on infrastructure can be performed by job guarantee workers. Some can be performed by labor released from destructive uses, investments in drilling, mining, and extraction. And some can be performed by new workers, which might require strengthening of training and apprenticeship programs. Still, greater infrastructure investment will gradually pay for itself by gradually increasing capacity. For these reasons, we do not include public infrastructure as a net resource user, nor as a possible source of continued inflation pressure. If it is planned and phased in, it will become a net resource creator, and hence provide a disinflationary force over the long run. But we will assume it is neither a net demander nor net supplier of resources.